And check out the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From big TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your host, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, boys and girls, what is going on? Your man Lee Sanders back with you all for an all-new edition of the RCWR Show for this Monday night of August 11th, 2024. How the hell y'all been, man? I hope y'all had a fantastic weekend. I tell you what, if you're over here in the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., man, the heat wave, it's not as bad as it was a couple of weeks ago, but man, is it back with a vengeance. Let me tell you, it's not as bad as a few weeks ago, but it is still pretty humid. I actually just let my dogs, all three of them, out back before I came on to do the show, and I couldn't help but go, ooh, it's actually kind of pleasant out here tonight. I don't know. I think maybe after the show is over, I might hop in my car and go driving on the freeway for maybe about an hour, having the roof open, windows down, blasting my music. I don't know. I think I might take advantage of that before I chill out and everything for the night. But yeah, going pretty good. Speaking of DC, of course, some big news as our president, our commander-in-chief, has decided that he was going to initiate a law under a certain section. So basically, he is in control of Washington, D.C. right now. I will sound off more about that much later on during the show. I promise you guys. Hey, what did y'all think about tonight's Monday Night Raw? Definitely sound off. Let your man know. I got a poll up over on Twitter at the RCWR Show. Also up on youtube.com/the RCWR Show. Feel free to let your voice be heard. We'll see how it's looking in the poll later on during the show. So, my Monday, look, my weekend was great. If anything, I had a lot of anxiety going into today because I was trying to secure my student permit for parking for fall semester, which is just now like a little bit over 3.5 weeks away. And I must have been doing emails and phone calls for almost about an hour because there was certain information that was missing in order to ultimately get my student parking permit. I don't want to give you guys the long, boring logistics, but to be basically going back and forth between phone calls and emails for about an hour. And I'm just saying to myself, man, if I'm able to get this resolved today, I'm probably still screwed. There's probably not going to be that many good parking options available to me when I try to get this permit. And when it was all said and done, after about an hour of doing all of this and everything finally got settled, I just threw up a Hail Mary. I crossed my fingers. I did my thing. And I was able to get my permit for parking. And that just... I'm still waiting on a couple of more teachers. They are being slow as snails. I'm still waiting on a couple of more teachers to let me know what is going on as far as course materials goes. But I got some good news from that standpoint. Looks like a couple of my courses, it's open sources, so that's great. That means that everything that we're going to need to look up, read, study, and everything, we'll be able to do that online. It'll be accessible for free, so that is fantastic to hear. But I'm waiting on a couple of more professors as they are just being snails. I'm hoping that maybe by next week things will really start to open up because I'm looking to get all those books secured next week. By the way, for you gamers out there, you board gamers, you tabletop gamers, look what came in the mail today. This is a big old box of Hero Clicks figures. I got a lot of this online, and there is just, my God, there's a ton of really good things that's in here. There must be at least close to about 100 of Hero Clicks figures that's in here. Now, some of you guys may be going, Lee, how the hell can like 100 figures actually fit in there? I think you're exaggerating, dog. No, on the contrary. So look, if you've never played Hero Clicks before and everything, this is pretty much what we're talking about. I apologize for our audio listeners, but you can look at the timestamp right now of 6 minutes and 17 seconds on the live web stream, so you can see my beautiful, handsome face, and you can see these Hero Clicks. Now, look, granted, I've got big hands. I do have big hands, but these things really are tiny, 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 tiny. So, as you can see, and you just saw the size of the box, if I tell you that it looks like we got close to about 100 figures in here, trust me, it's about close to 100 figures that's definitely in there. So, yo, man is ready for tonight's show, man. So we're going to be talking Monday Night Raw. And then remember, when I was here during the middle of the week, when all that chatter had went down with the WWE ESPN news, I know there were quite a few of you guys out there. One particular listener who was very vocal about, oh, WWE, it's on a decline. They're not bringing in any money, they're losing viewership. And this individual had also tried to say that cable TV and satellite TV is stronger than ever and all that other good stuff. Well, your man definitely crunched the numbers. Your man did the homework. We definitely gonna give you the real skinny on all of that. Also poked my head at the Q2 earnings for WWE, so we'll definitely dive into that. I will sound off for the very first time about the emotional, very impactful, very thought-provoking video that Karrion Kross had put out there on Sunday addressing his exit from WWE. Yeah, you guys picked a really good night. We're going to be bouncing a little bit all over the place on this show. Speaking of Karrion Kross, if you have not done so already, this is not a cheap plug. A friend of the family actually got me a copy of Karrion Kross's new book, Life is Fighting. He knows how much of a big wrestling fan I am, and he knows how Karrion Kross is one of the guys that I'm a big, big fan of. It was like, here, Lee, knock yourself out. Let me know what you think about it and everything. And I said, okay, bet, cool. Now, this is not a signed copy. I know Kross is offering signed copies right now. Not a bad price, too. He's offering them for $35 through his respected URL site. Go on his Twitter page, and when you click on his link, you'll be able to get the autographed copy that way. But I'm definitely at some point, I'm definitely going to get me a autographed copy of this book, and trust me, that one I'm going to put in some really nice shrink wrap, all that good stuff, and make sure that it sits in a nice, comfortable, tucked away place. I have not begun reading this yet. However, I will definitely begin reading this. Honestly, if everything goes right, it really depends, because once I get done logging in my Hero Clicks lot that I have here, if it doesn't go too deep into the wee hours of the night, I actually might get a jump start on reading this tonight. And definitely rest assured, by the time we get into next Monday, I will have plenty to say about his book. It's a short book. It's only about 200 and I think 40 something pages, give or take. Yeah, it's about 245 pages. So that should be something that, one can go through depending on your level of speed reading. And me, I'm not going to speed read. I'm going to take my time and all that loveliness. But I think I'll probably have that finished in about 2 weeks, three tops if I'm really, really pussyfooting around. WWE Raw tonight was out in Quebec City. So they are continuing this little tour of theirs that they got going on. CM Punk opening up the show, and he is continuing to take his verbal jabs at Seth Rollins, saying, "Yo, Seth Rollins, dude, all you trying to be is a knockoff version of me. You just continue to try and and be a carbon copy of me. You are continuing to literally rip everything about me and trying to make it come off as if it's original." And nah, man. And one thing that Punk says to the crowd is when he won that World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam, it really dawned on him as he was looking at the sea of crowds, seeing their facial expressions, really taking in that moment. And he couldn't help but get very choked up, very emotional as well. And just how cool of a full circle story of a moment it was for him to finally, after 12 years, be a WWE World Heavyweight Champion again. And of course, to have it be ripped away from him by Seth Rollins. Now, Punk he admitted to the crowd, "Yo, I respect the game," because it's all about that money in the bank briefcase and everything. He respects the game, but he don't like the player. And in this case, he don't like Seth Rollins letting it be known that one way or another, if he was relentless before, if he was passionate before, if he was hungry and all that good stuff before and ultimately becoming the world heavyweight champion, he promised the fans to rest assured that he was going to do whatever it takes by any means necessary to have that match against Seth Rollins again for that World Heavyweight Championship. Took issue with the fact that Seth Rollins had to fake a injury to ultimately become the World Heavyweight Champion, but he promised Seth Rollins that when they do meet up for that World Championship belt, Punk was going to make sure legit Rollins is injured. I love this. I mean, this was a fiery CM Punk. I loved it. I loved it. Very passionate promo. LA Knight crashing the scene. So pretty much following up with what we've been seeing play out between these two over the course of the last couple of weeks. LA Knight telling CM Punk, "Yo, without a doubt, man, you were robbed. Make no mistake about it. You definitely were robbed. And if anybody should be world heavyweight champion right now, it should definitely be you. If anybody is deserving of getting a rematch, yeah, definitely you. But let's pump the brakes a little bit. Ain't got no problem with you wanting to kick Seth Rollins' ass. Hell, I want to kick Seth Rollins' ass. So we both got that in common. But where I draw the line, I had my match against Seth Rollins. Huge implications on the line. Could have had a World Heavyweight Championship match opportunity, there, and which he did, and he probably could have been the World Heavyweight Champion. Who knows, and everything. But he told CM Punk, "Dude, you messed me up. You got me a DQ. That was not good. So, yo, if you want Rollins, no problem. But you're going to have to get in the back of the line because I got dibs on that guy." Punk taking issue with that. Kind of sarcastically, but legit letting LA Knight know he was welcome for CM Punk saving his ass last week because he pretty much was likely a curb stomp and more away from being seriously injured. Hell, if not even that, disabled and out indefinitely thanks to Seth Rollins and The Vision.
Knight doesn't quite see it that way. Two are kind of butting heads a little bit there. Great chemistry between LA Knight and CM Punk. I definitely was enjoying their back and forth. Paul Heyman crashing the scene. And pretty much this is how we get our instant Acme feud / main event of the night, as Punk pretty much said, look, I'm here to fight. I'm done with the talking. So unless Braun, Breaker, and Bronson Reed want to throw it down, Heyman actually accepted that challenge. So that was our main event match of the night. LA Knight teaming up with CM Punk to take on Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. I loved when Breaker decided, after all the stuff went down in this very first segment, he was lingering around. He was ready to whoop some ass, and Heyman and Big Bronson had to hold him back. And I tell you what, man, our man Breaker, he hit us with the Steiner math, and I just lost my shit. I'm trying to see if I could find my phone right now, but I'm not seeing it, which is weird because normally my phone is here in the studio with me, but it is. We lost the Hero Clicks figure just now. We got man overboard, man overboard. Let's put that back. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, let's kind of stand that up. But that's okay. But no, Breaker had the line of the night here, and I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, he says to CM Punk, you know, dude, you're like freaking 47. You're old. And he's looking at LA9, he's going, and you know, you're freaking 40. The both of you combined are like 100 years old. And I popped silly. I just giggled with laughter like a schoolboy. I'm going, there's that Steiner math that I love oh so very much. There's that Steiner math. Breaker just continues to be on the roll, man. And then later on in the night, we got a really cool vignette of the Shula Fala himself, Big Bronson Reed, saying to Roman, yo, you know, I'm aware of what everybody been saying about me online, saying I've been acting like a big bully towards you. And you know what? They're absolutely right to say that I pretty much punked your ass on the school playground, jacking your shoes. Is like, yeah, you know what? I embrace that. I welcome that. That's because that's what I am. I am that dog. Really good, strong, confident promo. I just can't help but take a step back and appreciate how far Bronson Reed has come along on the microphone and just as a on-screen character overall, because it wasn't quite always like this. You saw the potential definitely there, but there needed to be some fine tuning. And I tell you what, he's really been able to tap into it, lean into it more. The little vignette that they did with him where he was throwing verbal jabs at Roman Reigns, he seemed very comfortable. And I love that. I love that Breaker particularly. I mean, he's crushing it. He's continuing to crush it. But Bronson is really starting to catch my eye more and more each week. It just seems that whatever feedback, and you know he's getting feedback, and you can only imagine that besides Heyman, definitely Rollins, you can only imagine that Punk is maybe pulling him to the side, saying some things to him as well, which is great. You could tell that whatever tips, whatever advice that Bronson Reed is getting, you can tell that this man is soaking it all in, and it's showing big time. This was the most comfortable, even though it was a pre-produced package, this was the most comfortable that I have seen him as a character since he's been on the main roster. And I love that him and WWE, the way that they are collaborating here on this current incarnation of Bronson Reed, and how they're having him really lean into this. Yeah, you can just tell too at the same time that he's having fun, And when you're having fun, that's when the sparks are flying big time, baby. That is when the sparks are flying big time. Let's talk a little bit about that main event match. Look, we don't always have to go in a specific order. We can just honestly go with the flow. Takes us where it's going to take us, and just pretty much go from there and everything. As this edition of Monday Night Raw did also a really good job. Two things: hyping up the Triple Mania event that's going to be happening this weekend. We'll definitely preview the card and give you all the information for how that's going to be going down and everything. But it also, tonight's Raw episode, it also build up towards Clash at Paris, especially as far as the main event goes. Some huge, huge implications right there. We'll talk about that in just a couple of seconds, right when we get done talking about this main event match and everything. By the way, look, I've got the Netflix joint that's free because I had upgraded my phone about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And so, although my Netflix is unlimited, I don't get the one with free ads. If I want the one with free ads, I got to come up out of my pocket. Nah, I'm good. I can tolerate what's going on with the ads. It's not really a deal breaker for me. But I mentioned that because it was funny seeing some of the ad breaks that was coming in during Raw tonight. I kept getting Little Caesars, and just when the commercial was over, the little narrator comes back. But wait, and it's like I keep telling people, don't sleep on Little Caesars. Little Caesars, they sneak up on you, man. They actually got some really good stuff there, man. But anyway, LA Knight, CM Punk picking up the win via DQ as kind of an interesting setup here. Seth Rollins had actually came in the last couple of seconds and attacked Punk after we saw a backstage segment with Rollins and the rest of the guys in the Vision. Rollins basically was like, yo, I can't wait to get the hell out of this town, man. This town is disgusting as hell. I don't want to be here in Quebec anymore. You guys, I know you're going to take care of business in the main event. I'm going to roll out. I'll see you guys in the next city. That pretty much was Rollins. So you go, okay, yeah, all right, Rollins is done. But Rollins made his presence felt in the final seconds of the main event here to give Knight and Punk the win again via disqualification. Look, as far as the match itself, damn good, solid main event tag match. Particularly, I was quite taken back by how well of good chemistry Knight and Punk have. They really make a damn good tag team. And then even going back to when the two of them were verbally squaring off in the ring, I loved how they just played off of each other. Punk particularly finding natural ways to use LA Knight's yeah. And even at times, Punk was trying to set up Knight to, try to lean into the yeah as well, but Knight kind of resisted a little bit there. He tried to go in another direction, but eventually kind of caved. It was nice how it all had came together and everything here. So good tag match. All out brawl was just erupting after this, but man, the numbers game, it was just too much. It was just too much. Sadly, LA Knight and Punk, they were at a disadvantage. But wait. Cue up Jey Uso. Jey Uso comes out there. I thought it was going to be Roman Reigns, but no. Jey Uso comes out there and tries to even up the odds. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because I know we've seen some of the graphics for Clash at Paris that's been running around, and there's one that shows Roman Reigns, so you're under the impression that Roman is going to have something to do at Clash, but as far as a Roman Reigns appearance tonight, that definitely was not on the docket. So it makes you wonder if, and I kind of feel as though maybe, because hear me out. I think Roman may still be inserted in this somehow. Either something along the lines happens to where Jay gets taken out by the Vision, and then it is a case of, well, what the hell is LA Knight and CM Punk supposed to do? Because they're essentially going to need a third man. And maybe we don't find out that officially that third man is Roman Reigns until we get to the Clash event. That could be one way that it could go down. I know there's been some of you guys that's been wanting to see a fourth man be brought into the Vision stable already. Doesn't quite feel like they're getting ready to pull that trigger just yet. But I don't know. You guys can sound off. Let me know what you're thinking in regards to that. But Jey Uso comes out there, cheer in hand, and he's waiting on top of the stage before charging that breaker with the chair. Reed, he ends up swatting the chair from Uso. Jay, however, is able to land in, some really good punches and all of that. And the turmoil just, everything just goes downhill from there because ultimately Adam Pearce appears and he says, okay, you know what? We gonna have to take care of this because this is some money. This is some money making opportunity right here. Of course, that's my words, not Adam Pearce's. But Adam Pearce pretty much sets up the main event match for Clash at Paris. It's going to be Seth Rollins defending that World Heavyweight Championship against Jey Uso, CM Punk, LA Knight. Oof, think about that. Rollins has to defend against CM Punk, Jey Uso, LA Knight, fatal four-way. Ooh, man, sparks is going to fly right there. Everybody's favorites is involved in this one. From there, we saw frictions fly between all the participants. Rollins, he is livid over what's happening here. Meanwhile, you got Knight and Punk. They're continuing to talk trash at one another. There's some shoving that's going on. When it was all said and done, frickin' the Vision taking advantage of the fact that Punk, Jay, Knight all could not at least kind of come off on a unified front right then and there. They got their asses handed to them. I would imagine likely there's going to be a 6-man tag match. Maybe it'll happen as soon as next week's Monday Night Raw. We'll have to see how things develop. Hopefully that's the direction that they're going to be going in, though. So some nice momentum, some nice steam that they had built up towards that PLE and everything. Other action on the card tonight, AJ Styles taking on AJ Styles teaming up, I should say, first with Dragon Lee to take on the team of Dominic Mysterio and Grande Americano, Ludwig Kaiser version. Now, this was interesting how it came about because we got a Judgment Day segment, and Judgment Day, we were seeing Raquel, who else? Roxanne, Balor, Dom. Dom pretty much welcomed Grande to their clubhouse. Finn had issue with that, and Dom let him know, look, he could be of really great help to me at this weekend's TripleMania event. And Finn's like, oh, okay, I see where you're going here. And Dom's like, yeah, he might be able to help me get that AAA Mega Championship. Finn's like, okay, cool, like, that's what's up then. Now, we heard that apparently one of the matches that was supposed to be on the card tonight, Naomi was supposed to be facing Io Sky. But apparently Naomi, at least as of 5 hours ago, and I'm not seeing any new update. All that's available right now per Sports Illustrated, folks over at Wrestling Inc., Sportskeeda. All we know right now is that Naomi is not medically cleared. She was not medically cleared for tonight's WWE World Women's title match against Io Sky. So the title defense had to be called off. So whatever is going on with the whatever's going on with Naomi, hopefully, and you would like to believe that it's nothing, nothing devastating or anything like that. So, you know, I think y'all ain't got nothing to worry about. That's my whole message to you guys. Like, you guys got nothing to worry about. I think Naomi is going to be just fine. I'd be shocked if, hey, look, maybe she was a little sick and I mean, who knows? Who knows? That's her story to tell if she feels like telling it at a later date and everything. Finn Balor, meanwhile, he did say to Roxanne and Raquel, why don't they see about having a conversation with Adam Pearce to see if maybe they could somehow take advantage of this opportunity somehow and, maybe put themselves in a position where they could potentially get a shot at the women's championship. And that's pretty much exactly how things had played out, too, as we ultimately saw a really good match between Roxanne and Io. More on that in a hot second. But AJ Styles teaming up with Dragon Lee, taking on El Grande Americano and Dominic Mysterio. Damn good tag match. Love the fact that WWE let this match really breathe. This went almost close to 20 minutes. Dominic Mysterio and Grande picking up the win. Really good match. Definitely what you would expect when you're looking at the level of talent that was involved in this tag match. I love seeing Grande find that little piece of metal. Basically, somehow it was in his trunks. I don't know where exactly it was located there, but Styles ended up kicking it away and all that. But then Dominic Mysterio ends up getting it, brings out his mask, and it's rare he's pushing his mask. He puts his mask on, puts that piece in, and man, he was able to load big time into Styles with a headbutt, helping his team pick up the win and everything. A little bit of a slow cooker, but you know what? Totally was okay with that. Totally was okay with that. From there, I think from there we can go right into Sami Zayn taking on Rusev, leading up to this matchup. Sami Zayn trying to have a conversation with Adam Pearce backstage, wondering before we just talked about everything with the main event match. Now you know how the main event had played out and what's going to be the main event at Clash. Sammy was trying to figure out a way that he could get a World Heavyweight Championship opportunity. Just an opportunity. He wasn't trying to get one handed to him on the silver platter, to which Adam Pearce told him, look, worry about this match with Rusev first, and then pretty much go from there. Sheamus comes on to the scene, wanted to know what was up because Pearce had asked for him, and Pearce told him straight up, look, don't get involved in this match between Sammy and Rusev. Can't have that. Not this week. Not tonight. And Sammy asks for a huge favor. He said, look, dude, as my friend, really, like, no matter what, I need you to not come out there. To which Sheamus tells him, okay, I'm going to honor that. But as soon as the match is over, I'm coming right after that Bulgarian asshole, and I'm going to beat his ass on sight. Sheamus definitely honored his word. He definitely honored his word. So Sami Zayn taking on Rusev here. Sami Zayn was very, very close. Sammy had hit an exploder towards the end. You're thinking maybe he was getting ready to set up the Halua kick when all of a sudden MFT. Now, for those that didn't watch SmackDown this past Friday, they may have looked at this and felt it was a bit random, but it wasn't. And not for nothing, but we were here. We did do a live Friday show covering SmackDown Fallout and everything. And we had got a nice treat where Sami Zayn had appeared and he had a one-on-one match against Solo. So this nice, fine circle of storytelling, and just the fact that Sammy is still somehow intertwined here in the bloodline, even if it's a new variation. I love how all of this was pretty much put together. Like, even if it's a case where the MFT guys, like, hey man, these are SmackDown guys, you're still going, hey, this is what's up. So it's kind of interesting how Sami Zayn, I'm gonna throw a name out there that's probably gonna go over a lot of you all's heads, but it's interesting how Sami Zayn is right now the Susan Lucci of the WWE when it comes to trying to become a world heavyweight champion. It seems like just when he thinks he can finally focus on the main task at hand, try to update his resume, and let a mofo know, or let a naysayer know why he needs to be in the conversation, something controversial always happens. And in this particular case, MFT interfering and all that, you're like, yo, what the hell? The Quebec City crowd really made this moment feel really, really cool. They just love them some Sami Zayn. I mean, the same kind of energy, enthusiasm, love, respect that they brought in for Sami Zayn from this past Friday SmackDown. That was a continuation here tonight. Some really good stuff. I love how they were really embracing their hometown hero and everything. So, beatdown, it's on. Okay? Officials are trying to come out there. They're trying to break up Solo and the rest of MFT. Sheamus comes out there. Sheamus don't give a damn about the MFT. He's going right for Rusev. Just cold clocked him in the face, right one sight. And yeah, nice little brawl going on with these guys. Just pure pandemonium, just pure chaos that was going on here. Adam Pearce had a very difficult, hard time trying to get things situated between these men and everything. Meanwhile, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, Grayson Waller running into Adam Pearce backstage. By the way, I love the fact that we were talking about this last week. The complaints about Nick Aldis and everything. And it's great that we continue to see Adam Pearce. He's kind of letting the wrestlers run the asylum, but at the same time, it's definitely more structured the way things are under his watch and everything. But anyway, yeah, these three guys, they tried talking to Adam Pearce. Like, did you see what Penta did? I love the whole Mortal Kombat references yesterday, by the way. I'm tired when I didn't even mention the damn sombrero that Penta was pushing last week. Somehow that just, I think I was pretty tired. I know I was tired, so sorry I had missed that for you guys last week. But anyway, they tell Adam Pearce they want for Penta to be stopped and everything. And Adam Pearce decides, okay, look, next week, how about one of y'all one-on-one match against Penta? So that's what we get to look forward to next week. Meanwhile, Io Sky, she's getting ready for her match against Roxanne Perez when she is stopped by the Kabuki Warriors. Talk about a reunion that's going on right here. Kari tells Io, hey, I want to try to help you tonight. I want to be there in your corner. And Io's like, nah, nothing to worry about. I've beaten Roxanne before. I could do it again tonight. Don't worry about it. I got this. Yeah. Speaking of which, one of my favorite matches of the night, besides the main event tag match that we had, I definitely enjoyed me some Io Sky and Roxanne Perez. I really, really love the fact that, and let me just take this a step further, because with this Io and Roxanne match, I don't know if people were really homing in on this, but this was the beginning of essentially not one, but two consecutive women's matches, but it also incorporated back-to-back two women's segments, one of them involving Bailey, which we'll touch upon in a hot second and everything. So when you add up the run times, we're probably looking at about, I would say, close to 30 minutes dedicated to the women. So I really love what I've been seeing these past couple of weeks, as more and more, if you are a fan of women's wrestling and all that, and you love and support some of your favorite female wrestlers, I love the fact that now more than ever, you're really seeing them getting their flowers. It really seems like Evolution really did a lot of good, in so many ways, I tell you, and that's good, and that's good. But Roxanne and Io Sky putting on one classic matchup here tonight. This was a great match, great effort between both of these women. I didn't particularly care for the ending. However, I thought the ending was clunky, to say the least. I just felt it really was not needed. It really was not, because now it kind of feels as though the Kabuki Warriors are there's like this rift now, and it kind of feels as though maybe Asuka and Kairi Sane are maybe gonna go the heel route on Io, and it's one of those cases where you go as a fan, well, not for nothing, but we really haven't seen them together that long. We're still, I mean, God, Asuka, she just recently came back. Asuka doesn't even have 2 months under her belt yet, and we're already doing this whole, there's disarray, there's miscommunication, there's a little bit of anarchy going on here. I wasn't really a fan of seeing all of that. So I don't think the Kabuki Warriors presence was needed. However, if you were gonna put the Kabuki Warriors in the final seconds of this, then I think the way that it all should have played out, and WWE, they really missed a golden opportunity right here to really get Raquel Rodriguez over as a big woman. They really missed out on an opportunity to have her really show off her strength, her move like a big person, and really sell the fact that, nah, man, you need not one but two women that need to gang up on Raquel. They kind of half-assed it. Should have been executed far better, as far as I was concerned. It could have been a lot better. Roxanne pretty much doing a roll-up, goddamn fruit roll-up, picks up the win that way. Okay, so guess Roxanne is going to be making a argument to Adam Pearce come next week. Since I beat here, Io Sky and everything, like, she's a former champion. Come on now, hook a sister up. Maybe I should get the shot against Naomi. Be interesting to see what continues from there. Now, backstage, Kabuki Warriors, all three of them, they met up backstage. A lot of anger from Io Sky. A lot of back and forth. Everything ended with Asuka just verbally flipping off Io. Kari looking on very conflicted and decides, I gotta stick for my friend. So she sides with Asuka and leaves Io hanging. All of this while Rhea is trying to lend comfort to Io. Io pretty much tells her, stay out of her business. Kind of pulling a Joey Swole there. You need to do better. Mind your own business. Kind of loving it there. Meanwhile, we go from that to it was a non-title match. But they made the announcement right before Raw came on that it was going to be a Intercontinental title match. Becky Lynch defending against Maxxine Dupri. Still champion Becky Lynch. Winner, very obvious. I mean, look, this was a no-brainer. You knew who was going to win and all of that. Look, I will be very honest with you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The one thing that has gotten me a lot of respect over the years is, and this respect doesn't just come from you, the listeners, especially newer listeners, but I have it on good authority that for those that's actually in the business, the men and women that actually work in the wrestling ring, in the, with some of these wrestling companies that we enjoy checking out every single week. You may not like what I have to say, but you can respect where I'm coming from. And at the same time, go, well, not for nothing. Lee brings up a really good, valid point or two. Here's the thing, decent stuff from Maxxine Dupri. I kind of feel as though this was one of those, show me what you're working with. Okay? You've been stringing everything together. We've been hearing some really good stuff, progress reports, all of that. That's great. Show us what you're working with. Let's see what you got. And she is coming along. I will give her that. But she still has a very, very long way to go. A very long way to go. Uh, there's a lot of her, a lot of her offense was very shaky. At times, she kind of came off like she wasn't quite sure what the hell she was doing. I kind of feel as though she was getting a bad case of the butterflies, and that those butterflies was kind of getting the best of her, because at times when she was moving in the ring, you're going, man, that didn't connect for anything. You could tell she was just really lost in the moment, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little bit of anxiety that was in there on top of excitement, and she was just trying to do everything in her power to really, really make sure that any and everything that she was supposed to get off in the match and everything, that she was able to pull all that off. But my whole thing was just, man, Maxxine, slow down, honey, slow down a little bit, like, let it all, come to you. And I mean, not for nothing, but she had a really good referee that was in there. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Jessica Carr. I'll have to go back and maybe look at a screenshot, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe Jessica Carr was the referee. But like, even at that, like, regardless of the referee, you're standing across from Becky Lynch. So Becky Lynch will definitely, she's got you in good hands. And you could see Becky Lynch was definitely, I mean, she was yelling audibles, and she was trying to do a really good job in protecting Maxxine Dupri. I remember there were a couple of points in this match where, wide as day, something should have connected from Maxxine to Becky. And when it didn't, Becky was just right there immediately on the offense, taking advantage, and they pretty much were just like adjusting on the fly. I really, really enjoyed, seeing Becky take on that role, take on that responsibility of, don't worry, we're gonna get through this. I'm gonna get you home. Let's get through this together. I got you. So, and I know Natalia, she's been right there, helping along and everything. But look, real talk. Maxxine Dupri is very pretty, very pretty. Just because she's pretty, it doesn't mean that she needs to be wrestling. Not every single body needs to be a wrestler. It's okay, WWE. It's really okay. You don't need to have every single Tom, Dick, Sue, and Harry be a wrestler. I would perfectly be more fine with it being a case where, look, we're going to transition Maxxine Dupri from being a wrestler, and we're going to try to lean more heavily into her being a on-screen character. We're going to really find out her quirks. We're going to really get into her personality, find out her likes and dislikes, and really particularly try to hone in on her dislikes, and maybe try to use that as a way to kind of flip her as a character. You know, what are your fears? What, you're right, and lean into that. Lean into that. You know, there's an interesting question that's now being asked around in the workplace. And for those of you that are fortunate, I know we got some younger listeners out there. And for those of you that are fortunate, I'm going to let you guys know right now, you're going to be stumped when you get asked this question, because you think that what the hiring manager wants to hear is the right answer. But what they're really looking for is honesty. And one of those questions that you will get when you're fortunate enough to do your first 10, 20, 30 interviews till you find that career job, that, hey, this is what I want to do. Career path wise, this is where I want to stay in and make my money. You'll get a hiring manager that will ask you, or interviewer that will ask you, okay, so tell me, what are your greatest strengths and what you feel are your greatest weaknesses? What do you feel you need to work on? What are you really good at and what are you really bad at? And for Maxxine Dupri, you know, I love the fact that she is. There was a time with Maxxine Dupri where the few times that I did see her wrestle, she wrestled with fear. Now I'm seeing her wrestle, and she is wrestling with, okay, I know these. There is confidence that's there, but what's lacking right now is, hey, you really need to just slow down, pacing, timing, feel your opponent out, feel this match out, feel the crowd out, let everything come to you. Don't just race into one move, then try to race into another. And that was a lot of what was going on here. But me personally, I would love it if we could see Maxxine Dupri as a valet and or a manager. I would love to see her more in those roles. You know, that I feel would really play to her strengths. But this match itself, not the best match on the card for the entire night. And keep in mind, this was part of that, to piggyback on what we were talking about earlier, this was part of that almost 30 to 35-minute block of women's wrestling content for this portion of Monday Night Raw and everything. So definitely keep that in the back of y'all's head. Other than that, we got a very interesting vignette package, very well produced, as Bailey was sitting down and was getting very candid. You know, I like the setup. It basically had her in front of the camera, you know, nice, good lighting and everything. They blurred her background a little bit, which was really good, so that all the focus could be on Bailey and not, oh, what's that going on in the background. I love the choice of lighting and the stage setup that was happening in the background. I love the fact that you pretty much had, like, I believe it was like a white curtain background or whatever. I like that you had all that going on so that you could really just focus on Bailey. And Bailey talks about how she's not really sure where to start. Talks about how she's been doing wrestling and all that for the past 15 years. And at this point in her career, she doesn't feel anything and she wants more, but feels less. She feels less and then wants more. And for her, the role model back in the day, it really meant something. More so than most people realize. It meant more than what ultimately was a title that, you know, she earned and wore with pride and everything. But now she feels that by herself and everything that has led up to the point where she is now, in her life and her career, she feels that everything has pretty much shown her nothing. Because look at what she has to pay for. Yeah, look at what she has to in the process in all these years. Everything leading up to where she is right here, right now. She's got no title. She's got nobody. And it's pretty much her fault. And very eerie. You know, what was really, really cool, they did this awesome visual effect where it kind of seemed like maybe Bayley was trying to block out some noise, and they did like this really cool shaking after effect. I love the touch that they did. And it seemed like Bayley was getting ready to say something, and then it just abruptly ended. And you're going, what the hell is going on with Bayley? And I know everybody was busy talking about Karrion Kross this, Karrion Kross that. Well, here's something that's very interesting that might have went under the radar if you guys had missed it. Bayley, at least for the past 2 days, she has been putting out some very weird posts on social media that definitely gave you a prelude to what she was going to be doing tonight. And it seems, and I don't know how some of you guys feel about this, but it seems that the direction that Bayley is tapping into now, she is maybe going into a mental health, a mental breakdown of a character right here. It almost seems like what she is teasing here is a split personality. Go and check this out on your own here, but some of her recent posts, she's having conversations with herself, and it's very, very interesting. So 2 days ago, she says, "I think I am in love with you, Quebec City." Then she immediately follows it up and says, "What?" And then immediately follows that up and says, "Are we in the same place?" Then she comes right back and says, a day ago, "In the top 5 favorite places I've ever been to." Then immediately follows up, "That's what she said." Then follows up with, "Honestly, I agree with you." Then 12 hours ago, she quotes John Cena, whose tweet is, "Allow things to take the time they take." I love John Cena. He's always putting out some really good, words of wisdom and everything. Bayley says, "But what time is it if the time is not now?" And she pretty much answers her own question and says, "Half Tiffy time prob." Then follows up with Tiffy 30. 13 minutes ago, she says, "Ding dong." So I don't know about you guys, but the vibe that I'm getting just reading this compilation of tweets, that's all that she's put out so far. I'm really getting the impression that Bayley is getting ready to introduce to us, the community, a inner personality, that she has a split personality. And if they're going to be going down the split personality route, okay, split personality disorder, we got to be very, very careful with this. We really, really, really do. We got to be very careful. The last thing we want to do is glorify. Because let's stop and be real with this. Let's stop and be real with this. There are a lot of people that's out there that are struggling with their mental health. There are people out there that are suffering from bipolar disorders. There are those that are legit out there that are suffering from a personality disorder where they have a split personality. So if you're WWE here and everything, and you're a fan of WWE, you definitely can't help but look at this and go, okay, you got me curious of what's happening with the Bailey character, especially if it means you're going to be going to a Bailey character, a Bailey heel character at that, but with a twist. You gotta still tread lightly, especially when you got this responsibility to your sponsors and all of that. You gotta be careful because you don't want to set the wrong message, right? You don't want to make it come off as if you're glorifying, you know, people that are struggling with that form of mental health. But this is how it comes off to me. This is exactly how it comes off to me. It's kind of interesting because I remember years back, one of the things that I had been pitching on the show here for years. Why don't they take the Finn Balor character? And I said this for years, and some of my friends, especially those in the podcasting world, will tell you this and go, yeah, he's been saying that for years, that Lee. But I always wanted for Finn Balor and the whole demon gimmick, I always wanted it to go in the direction of Marvel's Sleepwalker. So there's this college student by the name of Rick Sheridan. He was on top of being a college student, he was also a super for this apartment complex. He got free room and everything. All he had to do in exchange was just when a pipe burst, somebody's toilet need hooking up, collecting the trash, like easy peasy job. All right. It was like maybe a 4 or 5 level little apartment complex, basically. And he comes across somehow this, I don't know if it was an amulet. Something happens where he merges with this alien. And basically, whenever Rick Sheridan would go to sleep, this creature known as the Sleepwalker, it would come out of Rick's subconsciousness and it would roam our world. But the moment that Rick would wake up, Sleepwalker went right back into Rick's subconscious. And like for the longest time, the two of them did not know, what the hell was going on. I think the first person to realize what was going on was the Sleepwalker creature. And ultimately, he started leaving messages for Rick and everything. And if I remember the early issues, I think originally the Sleepwalker wanted to try to do everything to have Rick remain in an unconscious state so he could just continue to roam. But then he started kind of working more with him and everything. It was an interesting a team up and everything. I bring all that up to say I can't help but wonder, is WWE maybe trying to go into that type of approach with the Bailey character? Or, I mean, I know it's still early, but we got enough of a little bit of a sample here where we can kind of marinate on it for a little bit. Immediately after this segment was over, we go right to Jackie Redmond, who's backstage with Lyra Valkyria. And she immediately is trying to get Lyra's thoughts. And Lyra goes, hey, look, I know I told that woman I didn't want to have anything to do with her. We aren't friends. We are enemies. I had no idea that's how she felt. Like, this is news to me, but what does this really have to do, with Lyra? Because, look at it and try to understand it from Lyra's side. And she reiterates, look, I can no longer challenge for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. So as long as Becky Lynch is the champion, and Bailey was the reason for that. And, she comes right back and she says, I really, really feel bad for Bailey. I really, really do. But to quote Gene Snitsky, yeah, Lyra went there. She pretty much said, this is not her fault. She said that twice. I couldn't help but go, Gene Snitsky. Okay. We see what's going on here. So, kind of interesting, this development that had happened here with Lyra. But, look, if you're going to continue to lean heavily into this. Like you got some very interesting developments that's going on here, on all fronts, right? And I like the fact that Lyra is in this position right now where she pretty much is backstage and she's reacting to all of this, trying to process everything that's going on. I can tell you this right now, the way this feels as though for now, Lyra, Bailey, they're going to remain separated. Lyra will definitely, I feel, going forward in the next couple of weeks, she's going to start focusing on something else. Maybe she'll focus on the tag titles or what have you, or maybe she'll try to set her eyes on the women's championship, try to see if she can maybe get a match against Naomi or whatever. But I kind of feel as though the direction we're going to be going in with Lyra specifically, Lyra's going to start building up some momentum, and then right when she's at that cusp, right when it seems like she's about to turn a corner for the better, I think that's when fully we're going to get this new Bailey, this new split personality Bailey, that's going to make her presence felt. I can't wait to see how they do this. It has potential. You just got to tread lightly, and I'm sure WWE is having a lot of continuing discussions about this. We've already talked about the main event match for tonight. It's a pretty fun show overall. Honestly, the opening tag match between AJ Styles, Dragon Lee, Dominic Mysterio, Grande Americano to EO versus Roxanne, and then the tag match closer between AJ Knight versus Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Overall, pretty solid episode that we got this week. Honestly, the biggest miss of the night, really the Becky Lynch, Maxxine Dupri joint. And if you want to be technical and look at the fact that a couple of matches ended in a DQ, you could definitely. But overall, pretty solid show. Let's see what you guys had to say over on Twitter at the RCWR Show. Definitely want to know what you guys had thought about the show. Let's go to that poll right now. Survey says 40% of you gave Raw tonight a thumbs down. Meanwhile, 60% of you are giving it a thumbs down. Appreciate you guys that had cast your vote. Let's see how you guys had voted over on youtube.com/the RCWR Show. Click on the post section and vote that way. And as I'm pulling that up right now, I definitely want to take this time out. Thank the many of you guys. We've been on a roll the past couple of weeks, pumping out the great content. You guys have been eating that up. That's good. I like seeing some of the new interactions that we've been having with folks. Look, when it's all said and done, life is too short. I may bust people's balls a little bit. It's all fun and games. And I like that the community that we have here is very chilled. It's very mellow, right? We try to do our parts respectfully to respect one another and let our voices, be heard and everything. And that's cool. So that's just my way of saying, love you guys. Keep it up. Just keep it up. Let's see here. 50-50 tie right now over on YouTube. And as always, full disclosure, our YouTube poll, I don't know what it is, but it seems like most people, like, I don't know if it's a case where they're working or they're dealing with classwork or whatever the case may be. But it seems like when we get to sometime mid-afternoon the next day after Raw has aired, that's when more and more people on that YouTube poll, they let their voices be heard about what they thought of the show. No, I would say it was. I would say it was a decent episode. I've seen better, but I'll say it was a decent episode for the most part. It gets a thumbs up from me. I'll definitely go ahead and I'll give it a thumbs up. So that's that talk for Monday Night Raw this week. Some other headlines that we can dive into here on the show. Let's talk about Karrion Kross right now. All right. So I don't know how many of you guys have seen it yet. And by the way, and look, I'm not being paid for this. I love Cross. Longtime listeners, they know. And they'll back me up. I've been singing the praises of Cross long time. If you have not picked up Karrion Kross's new book yet, Life is Fighting, definitely pick it up. I'm been hearing nothing but a lot of praise for it and everything. I'm hoping that maybe I can start reading it before I go to bed tonight. Because honestly, I am picturing myself once I'm done with the show. This is uploaded audio wise for the RSS feeds. I'm hoping that I can just kick back in the bed, snuggle up next to the wife, turn my lamp on my side of the bed, read my Karrion Kross book, read a couple of pages, and then go to sleep and everything. But check this out. Karrion Kross, Sunday night, about 8 p.m. Eastern. He put out a video, The Killer, Part 2. Follows up on the first installment that he put out about 3 months ago. And this video has been catching a lot of steam. I mean, right now, this episode is close to beating an episode of Collision. And if it really keeps on, it's definitely going to go past an episode of AEW Dynamite. I mean, as it stands right now, from what I'm reading, right now, his video is sitting on 589,000 views. Now, keep in mind, I was curious to see. I watched a couple of hours after the video's initial premiere. I actually watched it when it first premiered, but then I had to do some stuff. So I probably dipped out after about the first 20 minutes. And then I just said, I'll come on back later on and I'll definitely finish it out. And I actually ended up watching it earlier today while I was trying to figure out what the hell was going on with the student permit parking situation and all that. I ended up having this play, and it runs about an hour plus minutes. If you have not watched it yet, when you get done with this show, definitely go out of your way and check it out. I promise you, you will thank me later. Even if you are not a Karrion Kross fan, a Killer Kross fan, I promise you, by the time you get done watching that video, you are going to go, wow, what exactly is going on here with WWE? Like, man, this guy brings a lot to the table. Even if I might not care for him as a wrestler, this is definitely somebody that you want to continue to have be involved in your company because they can definitely contribute in other ways. That is the most critical Karrion Kross fan, because I know there's some critical Karrion Kross fans that's out there. There's still the whole, he can't take a bump for shit. Yeah, he can't wrestle, and all that other stuff. But Karrion Kross, he dropped a emotional video on Sunday confirming that his WWE contract had expired on August 10th. And that the same had pretty much went down for Scarlett. And now he's officially, both of them actually, they are now part of the alumni section on the WWE website. And that had really got a lot of people talking, when that had happened. And so interesting because when me and Tams were last here, we had did, what was it? Wrestling with the Topics on Sunday. We had did that show together, and we were going back and forth about the Karrion Kross situation. And I doubled down and I said, no, you know what? I'm feeling rather confident. I feel as though WWE, they are going to re-sign this guy. There's just no way that, with this guy, you just let him and Scarlett just roll out. There's no way. No, like that. It's a boneheaded move. But we got this thing here with Karrion Kross where seems like he's gone and everything. Very candid about what all was going on behind the scenes in WWE. I was very fortunate enough, and I made sure I took down notes. I had tried to establish contact with Cross and his people to try to see if I could get permission to use certain clips of, but I haven't heard anything back yet. And rather than rock that boat, I don't really want. And I'm sure Cross would have no problem. I'm legit sure he would have no problem. But it's better to be safe than sorry. I took down notes and everything as far as some key points of interest that I think a lot of you guys will find interesting if you haven't checked it out yet. First of all, his desire to stay. He expressed a willingness to negotiate with WWE, and it began as early as January of this year. He hit them up and he said, hey, I'm paraphrasing here, but he pretty much let them know, yo, I know my contract's coming up. I'm definitely interested. I'm trying to be with you guys for the long haul. Let's make it happen. He was already trying to get the conversation going. He was already trying to get the dialogue going. To that, they basically, yeah, we'll circle back to that. But yeah, that's real nice to know. Yeah, cool. To quote Kross, I expressed my willingness to negotiate with WWE in early January. I'm fully committed. I'm here. There isn't a world that exists where I haven't made that entirely clear. So from the start of the year, Kross made it known he wanted to stay. So this wasn't about him walking away. It was about the communication or their lack of, as many months went by. And then, and keep in mind, these were many months that went by without serious talks. And then when it finally did come time to talk, it pretty much was like virtually down to the wire. And even at that, the talks were not even serious. And he said, and I quote, that the whole thing left him feeling profoundly disappointed. Just imagine that for a second. You're busting your ass. You're doing everything that you can and everything at work and all that. And just imagine that, you're led to feel that way. After you've put in X amount of months or a year or two, and you feel that it's time for you to get them books opened up and it's time for you to get that raise or you want that promotion, and you kind of try to go put that bug in your manager's ear and all that, and the talks just, you get an ice cold, chilly reception that's going on there. Just what the hell? Merch sales was definitely proof that the fans were behind him. As Kross said, and I quote, there were times where I was top 5 in merch for the entire company. I wasn't supposed to be anywhere near that, according to some people. That told me everything I needed to know about how the fans really felt. And to his point, merch sales don't lie. At multiple points, yeah, he was WWE's top 5, which for a guy that thought he was, just treading water, that definitely speaks volumes, does it not, to his connection with the audience. Wait, it gets even juicier. Apparently, there was some, at least this is the way I kind of interpreted this. There was at least some SummerSlam match and fan interaction heat that Kross had got. Now, Kross did not mention flat out WWE, but you are led to the impression with the way of words that he chose, you're led to the impression that Kross was saying that WWE was worried about the crowd booing when he lost to Sami at SummerSlam. Management instructed him to not play to the crowd, even if they were behind him. And he was even told to not sign autographs or hang with fans after the match. And what did Karrion do after the match was over and everything? And it was a really cool part of the video. Kross, he's got his luggage and everything. Scarlett, beautiful as always, she's right there, kind of behind him, and Scarlett, you see her, she's taking time out, she's waving at people, giving them high fives, dabs, all that stuff. Karrion is signing a couple of things here and there, and Scarlett, she sees something and she is trying to get Karrion's attention, but Karrion is just so in the zone and everything, and she just keeps tugging at him. Finally, she pinches him a couple of times. One of those pinches, I guess he kind of got the impression, okay, something bad must be going on. Let me find out. Let me make sure she's okay. He turns around and like, what the hell? And she's like, that little girl over there. It was a cute little kid. She had to been at least 5 years old. She was on her sibling's shoulders and everything, and just you could see, cross. I loved it. It was cool. Scarlett sees that girl and she's like, we cannot leave here until you go and that girl's been waiting for you for like 5 minutes. Like, go say hello to her. And Kross was like, he ain't even think twice about it. He just went over there and did the damn thing and everything. It was really, really cool. And all throughout this 1 hour plus video, you see the emotional connection that he has with the fans. I loved seeing, man, this is so goddamn universal too. I love it when, we see older people. We had older people. Some people looked like they were maybe in their 50s to 60s that were walking up to Kross at some of his meet and greets for the beginning of his book tour, letting them know, dude, you got a great fucking gimmick that's going on. You know how to work the crowd. You are so good on the microphone. You deserve any and everything that's coming to you. Really appreciate your hustle, dude. You've been busting your ass. Like, this is your moment. It's nice that you're finally getting, your turn. Your turn to shine. Like, you definitely are deserving of this. To white people, black people, Hispanic people, men, women, kids, teenagers. I mean, Kross was just fucking hitting every demo. Every demo. And not once. You can tell when people are faking it. You can tell when this camera is here. So I gotta put on a show. And you can legit tell when, this is legit. This person is definitely coming from a place of sincerity. I love how this guy was taking so much time and was interacting with each and every single one of the people that came out. This wasn't no quick 3 minutes, all right, what's your name? Hey, thanks for coming out. Appreciate you. Let's be honest. Those of us that's been fortunate enough for many years now, doing meet and greets, meeting some of these cool wrestlers and all that, let's be honest. A lot of them, what's your name? Okay. Lee. Okay. Is that spelled Lee or is that Leah? Or is that Lea? Okay. All right. Got you. All right. Cool. All right. Thanks for coming out. Like, nah, man. Like, the dude was really, really humble. And his personality really shines, and you understand the type of wrestler's mindset that he has. Yeah, he appreciates the wrestling of yesteryear, but also at the same time, and I love how he addressed this whole WWE Unreal scripted show that's running around and everything, and it tied so perfectly to him talking about and stressing the fact that his job is to go out there and blur the lines and make people question, what's going on? Was this a shoot? Was this a shoot, or are we being worked right here? Um, the stuff that happened with the post show, a lot of people were under the impression he was talking about Triple H. Just a metaphor. Just a metaphor. And he even told people ahead of time, look, you guys are telling me to, okay, well, I'm letting you know I'm getting ready to say some heavy loaded shit. It's not directed towards anybody specifically. So don't take it that way. And then what happens? After it was done, he said what he said. He's getting high fives. He's getting, that's the type of shit I'm talking about. Yeah. So very weird how on the one hand, he's getting the praise, but then on the next hand, he's being told, yo, don't feed into the crowd. Don't lay into them. Don't give them anything. Make sure that the crowd doesn't like you. Make sure that you don't stop and sign autograph. What kind of, you can't help it when you hear that. You go, this makes no sense whatsoever, because this is what these guys are about that are WWE superstars. They are all about networking. They are all about marketing. For fuck's sake, they're like walking billboards wherever they go, airports, and all of that. So cutting off that connection, definitely strange. Kross also had creative clashes as after that big promo at WrestleMania, the strong reaction, which we had talked about and everything, but he looked at that as a really big breaking point to him, and he noted that WWE was ignoring what the crowd wanted in favor of what certain people wanted. Two things that really stood out to me the most: before the Judgment Day even existed, Kross made a pitch for a faction, and the concept was they were targeting wrestlers for their moral failings. This was basically a judgment group. WWE passed on it, and then, wouldn't you know it, a couple of months later, Judgment Day surfaced. Very interesting right there. And then apparently there was a Bray Wyatt link. For those of you that always maybe toyed with the idea, I know we brought it up here on the show once in a blue moon. Yo, wouldn't it be badass if we saw Bray Wyatt and fucking Kross like that? It speaks volumes. Like, come on, get him in a program, feud, something. Well, it turns out Bray Wyatt had this idea for expanding the Wyatt family. And he pictured himself with Karrion Kross, those guys over in AEW, the Righteous, before they even went to AEW and all that. He was picturing something with them, and saying, quote, Bray wanted to start with the 6, but he wanted to expand. One of his ideas was to have me, Vinny, and Dutch as an extension of the Wyatt faction. So, and I bring that up because, here's a guy, and I can attest to this, having watched Karrion Kross as far back as his days with Lucha Underground. Creatively, just and all the stuff that he puts out there on social media, very meticulous, a lot of thought, a lot of depth is put into his storytelling for whatever rivalry that he's involved in, ultimately leading up to that match. He is fantastic at storytelling. So to hear Kross in this video say names redacted, honestly, I get that. But to have producers and other people come up to him and say, what do you think about this? Well, what would you do? And they're actually taking his advice and they're implementing those respected changes, to the point one fan mentioned to me, hey, you ever thought about being a producer? And Kross has toyed around with that idea of being a producer and all that. So very interesting what's going on here. Just as far as other notes goes from this, I got a couple of quotes here. Kross had said it's fucking frustrating because they made it clear so many months have gone by and I've never had a single conversation about it until recently. And I don't even feel like the conversation I had recently was an actual serious one. It made me really angry. It just profoundly disappointed me. Later on, I've been fucked. Things are not bad. Things are just very strange. I literally slipped into another timeline. And then as far as him trying to finish his career in WWE, I just want to make sure, because we don't want to take him out of context. He did say, and I quote, "I'd love ideally to finish my career in WWE. I really would. I don't know what's going to happen though." So very interesting just how all of this, you look at all of this from an emotional standpoint and you just go, how could WWE, like, what's going on here? Now, some of you guys feel, yo, this has to be a work. We saw what just happened with the R-Truth situation. So, Lee, this has to be a fucking work. Boy, I tell you what, if it's a work, that's all I gotta say. It is a damn good, elaborate one. Where do I stand? Well, I did do a little bit of research. So, you know, twice now I've mentioned Karrion Kross's book. This is the third time that I'm mentioning it, but I'm not doing a plug this time. One thing that I thought was very interesting is the publisher for Kross's book. It's ECW Press. And if you know a thing or two about ECW Press, and you've read your fair share of wrestling books, you know ECW Press has done a lot of wrestling books. I bring up ECW Press because the one thing that is very interesting, and I actually reached out to a friend of the show who's very well connected, and I said, look, I'm hearing this rumor that's floating around that for those that's able to try to secure an interview with Karrion Kross, ECW Press is like literally saying you cannot talk to him about anything WWE related. More specifically, you can't talk to him about his contract status, being let go from WWE. And I asked my connection, I said, is there any way you can find out for me if this is exactly what ECW Press, if this is essentially how they're rolling? Because I've never heard of such restrictions before, especially now that he is essentially a free agent and everything. I get a text message back. Yeah, Lee, no problem. I got you. Just, give me about a couple of hours. I'm at work and everything. Give me a couple of hours. I'll find out. Okay, cool. So my friend hits me back with a text. And he goes, yeah, from what I've been able to find out, yeah, they're not interested in going down that rabbit hole. I said, okay, so what does that tell you? I was like, well, Lee, there's a couple of ways that you can look at that. Either it is a ongoing situation where they're still negotiating, and as a result of that, mum is the word right now. It's like, okay, sure. Two, it just literally happened, and something that Kross wasn't anticipating, which we should know, he was given a contract. Allegedly, he was given a contract, but he didn't want to sign it, right? So you're like, which my friend brought up, only to say, this could be a situation where, hey, maybe he just has a preference and he doesn't want to talk about those things. And ECW Press, they're trying to honor that. I'm like, okay. It's like, or the third option. Like, okay, what's the third option? It's like, the third option, this could be a work. This could be a work. I said, yeah, it could be a work. Scarlett, Karrion, they've put out their booking emails. Both emails I'm definitely very familiar with. I have like a Rolodex of wrestlers' emails for bookings, media from through the years, and I cross reference. I'm like, yeah, that's a legit email. That ain't nothing different. At least not to my knowledge. That ain't nothing different. So look, it sucks what happened with Karrion Kross. It does. I do believe that things can be worked out. Now, maybe there is still some ongoing negotiations that's happening right now. Maybe something will get worked out. I'll tell you what's working in Cross's favor right now. The fact that he's got this book, this tour for the book. He's got the independent film that he's co-starring in. This video that he put out there, which almost has half a million views. That's virtually more than an episode of Collision or more than an episode of Dynamite. I'm not taking any jabs at AEW fans, so let me also throw in there almost more than an episode of NXT. Definitely TNA Wrestling. Definitely an episode of Wild Women of Wrestling. Just from one guy. People can feel how they want to feel about Karrion Kross, and they can say he doesn't take fucking bumps. Oh, he's this. Oh, he can't wrestle for shit. But you show me a video that in like less than 24 hours, and this guy's almost got 500,000 views. I say to you, I can make some money with that motherfucker. So I know this, upsets a lot of people. A lot of people are questioning Triple H, Paul Levesque, the direction of WWE, and what the hell is going on here? What the hell are these guys thinking? Because there's some people that's part of the WWE roster, and I don't like going, this person should be fired instead, and I don't like doing that because it just comes off too much of a dickish move. Are there people, like legit, are there people that you're looking at going, I don't know why this person is still... Yeah, sure. But I'm not going to wish that person to be unemployed. Because at the end of the day, they got a family. They got, financial responsibilities and all that. I'm not going to wish that ill will. I'm not going to be jumping up and down. Hey, they broke a leg. They broke a leg. Great. Like, I'm not going to do that. That's juvenile. That is so stupid. That is so heartless. I'm not going to do that. I feel Kross will be back in WWE a lot sooner rather than later. I think this is just one of those cases right now where Kross can just focus on his book tour, do all his media obligations, all of that good stuff. Take a break or 2 or 3. Look, we just heard the news that went down with Brock Lesnar. How about them apples? For the 2-something years that Brock Lesnar was exiled, whatever you want to call it, in the shadows, WWE's been paying him all this time. Did you guys see that report? WWE's been paying him all this time. And only in the past couple of weeks did WWE legal say, yeah, you know what? We don't really think there's anything. Go ahead. Want to reactivate Brock? Go ahead. But he's been getting paid all this time. I mean, he's literally been getting the WCW deal. Good God Almighty. But as far as where I stand as a Karrion Kross fan, make no mistake about it. Again, you're talking to somebody that's been a fan of his work since the Lucha Underground days. I was right here on the show talking about when shit wasn't going right for this dude creatively in WWE, the first rodeo and all that. No, you don't let a great mind like that. And I remember a long time ago when I was trying to describe Karrion Kross to folks, this is way before his even first stint in the WWE. I said, if I could describe Karrion Kross, I think I said, look, this dude is like Kevin Sullivan meets Raven meets Sean O'Hare. It's like, you can't go wrong with that goddamn combination. And then the more that I thought about it, and then eventually, Bray Wyatt and how all that stuff came about, I was like, yo, he's also got a little Bray Wyatt in him too. You don't let a great wrestling mind like that, a great looking guy like that too. You don't. Oh my God! And Scarlett, gorgeous woman, gorgeous woman. The camera loves her. I'm surprised that they haven't done more with Scarlett, just from a PR standpoint. You watch that video, she really comes off like a sweetheart. She really does. Yeah, she's got her own mind. She can speak her own piece, and she's playful and all that. Like, you can do no wrong. They're a couple too. They're a married couple too. Oh my God. And we've got some PR things that need taken care of. Like, oh, go ahead, send Cross and Scarlett. Let them double team on that one. Give it time. They're gonna work some stuff out. For now, I think it's just a case where he gets to continue on finishing up this book tour, all that other stuff, but they're gonna work something out. I wouldn't even be surprised. What is this now? It's August. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Cross comes back by Survivor Series, something along those lines. You guys sound off. Let me know what you think. Moving on from there, congratulations are in order to Corey Graves. The announcement was made that Corey Graves is once again going to be at the helm for calling the Triple Mania. What is this? Triple Mania 33 event. He'll be on commentary for that. He will be joined along with, also on commentary, not Conan, surprisingly, is actually going to be JBL. I kind of had a chuckle when I heard that because the very first thing that I thought about, I'm so wrong, but the very first thing I thought about as soon as I heard JBL was going to be calling this, I thought about that infamous episode of SmackDown where JBL had like WWE camera crew with him. And he basically was like, America's not going to do anything about this immigration situation. Well, JBL, of the people, for the people, by the people, I'm going to do something about it. And JBL found these fake ass immigrants that are trying to sneak into the country, and he kicked their ass right back to Mexico. You got to look it up if you've never seen it online. Like, when you look at it now in 2025, you're like, what the, it's cringeworthy and all that, but like back then WWE they did not. And I remember in real time when me and my friends actually watched that segment, we all were howling in tears, man. It was hilarious. Here's how the Triple Mania 33 card is looking. It's going to be going down this Saturday at what's that, August 16th at 9 a.m. Eastern. For your North American audiences there, 9 a.m. Eastern. All right. We've got a AAA World Tag Team Championship street fight as Los Garza, Angel, and Berto defend the titles against Psycho Clown and Pagano. Meanwhile, for the AAA Latin American Championship, it's a street fight as El Messias defends against El Hero de Dr. Wagner Jr. I think that's that's one on. That looks like it's one-on-one. Meanwhile, for the Reina de Reinas Championship, Lady Flamer defends in a triple threat against Fabi Apache. We remember her from a couple of events ago. And Natalia, WWE's own Natalia. Meanwhile, a trios tag team match, the Judgment Days, Finn Balor and JD McDonough, and Raquel Rodriguez, they'll be taking on Mystery Iguana, Nino Humberguesa, and Lola Vice with Roxanne Perez. By the way, congratulations are in order for Lola Vice. Looks like she just re-upped her deal with the WWE. So congratulations, and I hope with that comes more opportunities. If there's somebody that you're looking at and you're going, yo, she's got like this really cool Jennifer Lopez vibe, but at the same time, she really, really stands out on her own, and she's a former fighter. I mean, she can legit kick your ass. She talks English very well. I mean, you want to just look at things from a cross-promotional branding PR standpoint, I hope that WWE plans on doing more big things with her. Because I know a lot of you guys are like, yo, why hasn't this woman become a NXT Women's Champion yet? Like, what the hell? I remember some of you guys even asked the question, will it ever happen? And I said to you guys, it definitely should. I think I jumped out there, if I'm not mistaken. I believe I had said if it doesn't happen by the end of the year, might be a little pause for concern there. And of course, the main event match, the AAA Mega Championship, we got a fatal four-way as Hero del Vikingo defends against Dominic Mysterio, Dragon Lee, and El Grande Americano. Fatal four-way. That is how the card is looking for TripleMania again for Saturday, August 16th, 9 a.m. Eastern. You'll be able to watch that for free on YouTube. You'll be able to watch that for free on YouTube. Hope you guys realize that. Free on YouTube. You can't beat that. Will I do a post show? I'll poll you guys. I'll ask you guys if you want me to do a post show. And if the majority of you want me to do a live post show afterwards, I'll definitely oblige. I'll definitely oblige and hook you guys up. From there, take this as a rumor, but there is a report that's floating around about a unannounced WWE PLE that is set for September 20th this year in Indianapolis, the same day as AEW's All Out in Toronto. Now, remember, there was a report probably from about 2 months ago where it said, and I don't know if it was from, because I don't want to give the credit, and it turns out it wasn't them that reported it. I'm trying to think if it was Fightful and or PW Insider, but there was a report that was floating around where WWE was strongly considering doing more pay-per-views to counter whatever AEW was trying to do for that weekend. Now, if this holds up, it kind of feeds into that narrative that, we kind of brought up a while back. Look, I love it. From a competitive standpoint, I love it. I also love it from the standpoint of, look, you got options. You can get with this, you can get with that. You can get with this, or you can get with that. You can get with this, or you can get with that. You can get with this. This is where it's at, right? I mean, so I like it. I like it. Speedy recovery to Adriana Rizzo. She has a torn ACL meniscus. She posted on social media that, despite this setback, though, she's going to do everything she can to come back stronger and better than before. I've seen a little bit of her work on NXT and been quite pleased. It's unfortunate, but definitely wishing her a speedy recovery. Also, we got a report that is floating around. I think it was Wrestle Ops. I saw this initially. Apparently, 2 WrestleManias in 1 year. Saudi Arabia is pushing for a 2027 Mania headlined by The Rock. Look, 2027, that's like 2 years away. Does it surprise me to hear that the Saudi prince and, we want our own WrestleMania? Because I tell you what, every time WWE does something over there in Saudi Arabia, it does have this big feel, kind of like legit. It does. If they were, look, could they pull off a Yes, without a doubt, they could pull off a WrestleMania. And with TKO now as that backer, oh my God. TKO is literally going to pull a Jerry Maguire. Show me the money! They literally, as long as Saudi Prince and them is continuing to just print out that money, I can ultimately see this happen. Tams had brought up a good point. She said, not for nothing, but didn't we kind of say that something like this could be on the cards for Saudi Arabia? But I don't think we were looking at it from the standpoint of 2 WrestleManias. I think we just looked at it more so of, and I know for a fact we did, more so the vision of, could we see Saudi Arabia host a WrestleMania, not get its own WrestleMania while we get the usual that's back in the States. Yeah, it just really makes you wonder if this does fall through, how exactly is that WrestleMania and WrestleManias going forward for Saudi Arabia and its audience going to play out for fans? Is it going to be a case where the Saudi prince, I want Goldberg, I want the Shawn Michaels, I want the Hulk Hogan. He's dead, sir. I want the Hulk Hogan. How is that going to play out exactly? Do you put that much creative thought? What about the finishes? Because we've seen this pattern with WWE where they really don't want to go all balls out and have a whole bunch of title changes, and at least not for the titles where it counts the most. They want to try to reserve that for getting back on the U.S. soil. Really makes you wonder. Really makes you wonder. Braun Strowman's making headlines for putting probably a really dumb tweet of the week that's out there, or whatever you want to call it. I definitely say some poor food for thought for this week, saying that WWE was stupid for releasing him. Like, I don't even need to be long-winded with this. Look, it was pretty obvious looking at Braun Strowman. This guy, mobility-wise, significantly decreased. A guy that size with that height, yeah, you probably are gonna have some knee issues. You're probably gonna have some leg issues, without a doubt. You can do all the lifting you want in the world, but when you got that height, that size, there's gonna be some leg issues. Now, I always felt that the way Braun Strowman should have always been presented, and you guys will remember this that's been checking out the shows for a minute. One of my running gags on this show, why do we have Braun Strowman running? Why do we have him running and pretty much doing the Godfather whole train or whatever you want to call it? You know, why do we have him running and chasing after people? Like, he's a big dude. People that are so much shorter than him, they should be stumbling and tripping in fear as they're trying to run away from this dude. They really, really messed this dude up big time. It seemed to me as though maybe there was a pathway for redemption. When it came off like the last rodeo, maybe they were trying to repackage him, kind of have him go back to his basic roots. Love the great feud that he had going on there with a very still green Bronson Reed. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, by the way. But you felt that, okay, we're doing something here. We're trying to establish Bronson. That's great. Okay, we're making Braun Strowman. We're kind of giving him a little bit of a throwback to his previous years. And you just kind of felt as though, okay, this is a nice, good reset here for both guys. And now we've ultimately seen what's become of Bronson. But then Braun Breaker, after that, just went on this nosedive of a decline that was heartbreaking to see and everything. I think if it was a Braun Strowman from 10 years prior, just put in today's 2025 and beyond WWE, stronger, healthier legs and all that, yeah, sure. Now, look, not for nothing. By now, y'all should know about Braun Strowman's political views. Oh, he's a Republican. So he's definitely in the right place as far as WWE and, like-minded people like him and all that other good stuff. Like, he's in the right place. But I feel it was more from a physical standpoint. And look, not for nothing, WWE, they got him under a Legends deal. So, I mean, at least he's got that. At least he'll be making some appearances from time to time and all that other good stuff. But as far as WWE shouldn't have released him, No, I think they were essentially justified when it's all said and done. Hey, some other stuff that we can get into real quick here. So, UFC, big news for UFC. It looks like the UFC rights in the United States are moving exclusively to Paramount Plus in 2026, ending the pay-per-view model. We're talking $1.1 billion annually for 7 years. So how cool is that? You ain't got to worry about them pay-per-views anymore, right? I mean, it's literally going to the streaming module. If you are a UFC fan, if you've ever been in a position where you're going, man, all I want to do is watch my UFC, I shouldn't have to pay this ridiculous amount of money. I shouldn't have to try to do the illegal stream. I shouldn't have to do all of this crap. I should be able to just, because I remember when it was very, very affordable back in the day. Now, as far as will UFC be free on Paramount? Short answer, I'm being honest with you guys. Short answer, not exactly. Not exactly. Let me break it down, okay? So starting in 2026, your man took notes here. In 2026. But if you have Paramount Plus, like that's great. That's great. Listen, starting in 2026, all UFC numbered events plus 30 fight nights annually in the US will stream exclusively on Paramount Plus as part of your subscription. No separate pay-per-view charges required. Are you with me so far? Some big events will also be simulcast on CBS, giving fans a rare opportunity to catch certain matches for free on network television. Now, if you like that so far and you're like, God damn, Lee, I'm back, man. I'm back and checking out the UFC, man. So you said not exactly. What's the catch? Is it free or not? It's not completely free. While the fights won't require extra payment, they do need a Paramount Plus subscription. Now, the pricing tiers are expected to remain around the current $7.99 a month. That's the basic joint with ads. And then you got the $12.99 a month premium ad-free. Not confirmed which tier is going to carry the UFC content. I would imagine they're going to put it with the $12.99. I would imagine they're going to put it with the $12.99. I love this. Very affordable. Now, most people already have a Paramount Plus subscription. I know I do. I stay watching classic episodes of Taxi, starring Jude Hirsch, Tony Danza, Danny DeVito, Christopher Lloyd. I love that. I'm watching old and new episodes of Beavis and Butthead. I'm watching Tulsa King. I'm like bouncing around on there. I'm even watching, if I'm not mistaken, I think they got episodes of I Love Lucy on there. I'm not quite sure, but I'm usually watching Paramount Plus a couple of times a week. I'm usually checking out a couple of shows, so I definitely benefit from this. This is definitely a big win-win situation because I know for the longest time you had to pay, like at one point there was a UFC app, and I know Dana White hadn't always been quite pleased with the relationship that they had with ESPN and everything. Didn't something weird happen where one of their events kind of got interrupted, preempted, or something along those lines? So I like this. I have been a fan of MMA fighting for the longest time. I love my boxing. I love my MMA. So to be in a position where I can get back to regularly watching MMA, more specifically the UFC, and then be able to talk about it here on this show and really open ourselves up to an even more wider audience, Oh my. Oh yeah, I'll take it. I will take it. Bring it on, baby. Yes, I love it. I love it. Let's see. Also, oh, we're talking about that. Let's see. I also want to talk about the ESPN Fox bundle. Not sure if you guys had heard about that. So you already know about the WWE ESPN thing, and not for nothing, but we did put a definitive video breaking everything down. Okay, and here's the thing. Now in the new update, we got this ESPN Fox One deal that has come about. So here's the skinny on this one. You guys are, I mean, if you're a sports fan, you guys are going to love this. All right. So I told you about the Paramount, Fox One. I'm trying to find the press release for this ESPN Fox One. You guys got to bear with me a second here. Fox One, and I think ESPN. If I type that in, yeah, here we go. So this was announced earlier today as, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I hate when that happens. Hang on, guys. I hate when that happens. No, I don't want to do that. Hang on here. Maybe I can find this. Okay, great. Okay, so viewers are going to have the opportunity to bundle ESPN's DTC, direct to consumers unlimited offering, and Fox One for $39.99 per month starting October 2nd. So, in this press release, quote, working with Fox One on this bundle offer allows us to bring ESPN's world-class sports content to even more fans in a seamless and innovative way, says Sean Breen, EVP, Disney Platform Distribution. This collaboration reflects our shared commitment to delivering premium experiences across platforms and meeting customers where they are, anytime, anywhere. Fox One will bring all of Fox leading news, sports, and entertainment, branded content together in one dynamic streaming platform. For the first time, cord cutters and cord nevers will have live streaming and on-demand access to the real-time thrills, bold voices, and defining stories across the full portfolio of Fox brands, including Fox News Channel, Fox Business, Fox Weather, Fox Sports, FS1, FS2, Big Ten Network, Fox Deportes, Fox local stations, and the Fox networks, as well as the option to bundle Fox Nation and Big Plus within one platform. The latest updates and information about the upcoming Fox One service are available at fox1.com. Also, just kind of piggybacking a little bit here, announcing ESPN as our first bundle partner is evidence of our desire to deliver the best possible value and viewing experience to our shared customers. Tony Bellitter, SVP, Strategy and Business Development, Fox Direct to Consumer. Viewers will have access to an incredible portfolio of content through this bundle, including NFL, NBA, WNBA, MLB, NHL, college football, basketball, NASCAR, IndyCar, UFC, as well as the upcoming FIFA World Cup, and more as we continue to look for opportunities to streamline the user experience, especially for the ultimate sports fan. So that's where we're at right now with this. It really goes back to what we were talking about last week, which is, hey, remember we had a listener that was trying to go back and forth with me, and I was telling them respectfully that, dude, I've worked in market research for almost 10 years. I worked on, television studies, cable studies, gaming studies, like you name it. And I kept trying to tell this guy, yo, no, over the years, there's been a significant decline as far as people that's been ditching cable and all that. They've been trying to embrace more of the streaming platforms and all that. Hell, me and Tams did a panel a panel, comic book panel, talking about that years back. For those of you that maybe are interested, it's on the YouTube channel. Just type in current state of media, RCWR Show Awesome Con panel, and you'll know it when you see it. It'll have a thumbnail of me and Tams, and we banged that out for like 90 minutes. It was a nice, good back and forth that we had. I want to share with you some very important numbers. Your man did do the research, and I want to share this with you here as far as like what the real deal is, as far as what the real deal is, as far as is cable television dying and all that other stuff. Some of the numbers that you're going to hear, it may be surprising. It may not. It just really depends. Let me look at my notes here. If you've been enjoying what we've been doing so far, if you have not done so already, make sure you hit the like button. And if you have not subscribed, definitely hit that bad boy. Let's see here. Trying to see where that bad boy is. Hang on here. Okay, here it is. So here's the question. Traditional cable and satellite TV. Is it dying? Right? I did the research. The short answer, lack of layman's terms, yes. It's in a decline, and it's pretty fast. The shift to streaming platforms, make no mistake about it, it has become a norm, as you have millions of households that's going